No better. Insane stories about NBA legends. Players in the NBA tend to have a lot of success, but that doesn't mean that there haven't been some negative stories to talk about. Unpredictable plot twists and bizarre occurrences were commonplace these previous seasons. As a matter of fact, the NBA has a long story of humiliating events. Which NBA legends do you think have the most mind-blowing stories? Would it be the one who had to retire after being diagnosed with HIV? Or another whose nude photo went viral and nearly ended his NBA career? Or the one that proceeded to strangle his head coach for 10 to 15 seconds? To decide that, in today's video we'll look at various insane stories about NBA legends, including stories that you forgot that happened or even their most embarrassing moments. Eyewitnesses reported that Griffin was incoherent due to his alcohol consumption. The fact that he wasn't completely clothed at the time of the collision makes matters considerably worse. The last straw that broke the camel's back was that he reportedly told numerous pedestrians that he was viewing a pornographic video on a mounted DVD player while engaging in sexual activity while driving. Outrageous and certainly insane, right? If you thought Eddie Griffin's drunken scandal was the craziest story in today's episode, wait until you hear Isaiah Thomas's story. It will blow your mind. Isaiah Thomas's tenure as the Knicks general manager and coach. In the NBA, this is the lowest level of management possible. The New York Knicks were permanently ruined during Isaiah Thomas's tenure as coach and general manager. You might be wondering why. Anuka Brown Sanders, a former Knicks marketing executive, claimed that he made sexually improper comments and approaches toward her. The Knicks were fined $11.6 million and Thomas was eventually traded after the team finished 23-59 that season. Crazy. Steve Kerr letting his players act as coaches is arguably yet another craziest incident in the annals of NBA greats.
He's got it. For the lay-in.
Wow! After letting Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala take over as head coaches for a meaningless February game against one of the poorest teams in the league, the Phoenix, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr stepped down. Aside from Jared Dudley, no one was even remotely bothered by this extremely unusual and unprecedented action. I guess it was an inevitable weird situation. The Cavs traded everyone. Yes, you heard it right. This is another unforgettable insane story in the history of NBA legends. You know, long ago, the Eastern Conference favorites, champions from the previous season, and owners of the league's greatest player, undertook a historic squad overhaul. All of Isaiah Thomas's, Derrick Rose, Jay Crowder, Channing Frye, Dwayne Wade, and Iman Shumpert are sitting this one out. NBA players Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood, and George Hill are in. This is an unusual amount of roster change, an amazingly risky deadline from a top-tier group. Was that the best option? Probably, but it looks like the smartest course of action would have been to not let go of Kyrie. The next story is quite a ridiculous one. An insane story of how Junior Smith threw soup on a coach. Oops! There have been many strange occurrences in Junior's life, but this one is unforgettable. Smith threw soup on assistant coach Damon Jones. Thus, the Cavaliers suspended him for one game. You can only guess what happened afterwards. Probably, there's some shouting, and then the shooting guard throws the soup at the assistant coach. You would agree that was so Junior, isn't it? Coming next is an unbelievable story of addiction by an NBA legend, and it will probably blow your mind. The question is, to what? I suppose you'd find out eventually. Nonetheless, before anything else, please subscribe to our channel, activate the notifications, like, and share our videos. It's the Michael Jordan problem gambling at casinos and golf courses. Throughout early 1990s, Michael Jordan's issues with gambling were widely reported. It wasn't until a book titled Michael and Me, Our Gambling Addiction, My Cry for Help, was published that the extent of the issue was recognized by the general public. He's also frequently lost large sums of money in casinos. That's not all. A lady named Carla Neffel, with whom he had an affair, later filed a paternity claim against Jordan in an attempt to extort financial support from him. Next in today's video is the tragic unexpected death of Len Bias. Maybe not truly insane, but it was indeed one of the most tragic moments in the history of the NBA. In the 1986 NBA draft, many future stars emerged, including Len Bias, who played college ball at Maryland. 2 days after being drafted second overall by the Boston Celtics, Bias died of a heart arrhythmia after ingesting cocaine at his alma mater. Larry Bird called his early death the cruelest thing I ever heard. And it was a major embarrassment for the NBA since it revealed widespread drug use among players. I'm not trying to be callous by stating that Bias's death is humiliating, but the fallout from his death and the NBA's subsequent examination of the role models that they promote is deeply unpleasant. He is arguably the greatest what if in basketball history. The next mind-blowing tale of NBA superstars will leave you gasping. And it involves the Sprewell family's need for supplemental sustenance and food support. Yeah, you heard it right! Although Latrell Sprewell was rewarded with a 3-year, $21 million contract by Minnesota after a strong season. However, Spree didn't find this to be very generous, pointing out that, "To what end would it serve me to aid the Timberwolves in their pursuit of a championship? It's not like they're helping me out here. Quite a bit is on the line for me. There's a family that needs to be fed, and I must work." They didn't, and that was the end of Spree's NBA career with the Wolves. Still, even Sprewell has had worse moments in his career than this one. Many NBA greats call it quits when they finally accomplish something or when they reach a certain age, but this legend's reason for retirement will leave you completely floored. This is the revealing admittance of Magic Johnson. On the morning of the 7th of November 1991, reports began circulating that Magic Johnson was retiring. In a later interview, Magic admitted that he had obtained HIV. He likely became infected with the virus after engaging in several sexual relations with women during his active playing career. The NBA suffered the most of a hit here, and players who were considered sleazes were immediately marked in their minds. The next crazy tale is shocking because of the violence in it. Bobby Portis broke Nikola Mirotic's face. In the final days of training camp, rival power forwards Bobby Portis and Nikola Mirotic got into a fight. After being shoved by Mirotic, Portis retaliated by punching Nico in the face, sending him to the hospital for 2 months with several fractures. Portis admitted his guilt, accepted an 8-game suspension, and profusely apologized. While they were apart, Lauri Markkanen made his entrance. Even though Mirotic couldn't be traded until December due to his fractured face, he insisted that it was either him or Portis. Afterwards, it was said that they had patched things up, but Mirotic ultimately ended up being traded. This is another insane story that will leave you startled. As a coach gets choked by Latrell Sprewell. The Golden State Warriors guard Latrell Sprewell reportedly got mad at coach PJ Carlesimo on the 1st of December 1997 after Carlesimo told him to put more mustard on his passes. After an argument, Spree resorted to a 10 to 15 second stranglehold on his coach. Spree, ever the man to see a task through to its conclusion, threw back 3 or 4 punches at Carlesimo. The NBA did not think it was funny, and they eventually suspended Sprewell for the rest of the 1997-1998 season. That's 68 games. This video concludes with the Tim Donaghy scandal, another crazy tale involving an NBA legend. Well, what you see on the screen is the single most humiliating incident to ever happen in NBA history. Tim Donaghy supplied mobster insider information and wagered on sports he refereed. The 13-year official was let go and landed up in jail on illegal gambling charges, but it was never shown that he made calls to tilt games in his favor. Finally, as usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts and learn from your discussion. Let us know in the comments what you think about various insane stories about NBA legends. Don't miss out on any new content by subscribing to our channel and activating the push alerts. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon.